Yuri Kim. She went to SPAC. She asked to prosecute me.
When we think about what happened to Sali, Berisha, I think the available evidence would suggest that the ambassador, Yuri Kim, did put pressure on the Albanian government, or certainly throw American weight behind the Rama government's effort to essentially endorse and take criminal activity, criminal prosecution against Mr. Berisha.
No one can be above the law.
While the U.S. government may throw its weight against other nations when they threaten our own domestic political interests, the State Department foreign policy tends to avoid such overt efforts to tip the scales of elections within our fellow NATO democracies. To push for the incarceration of a former prime minister who has proven himself a loyal American ally was unprecedented, yet the Biden administration pressed on.
Yuri Kim didn't deny it. She told, yes, sometime justice needs to be held to have the right decisions.
The U.S. Embassy in Albania tweeted out, if interfering in the judicial process means encouraging judges and prosecutors to do their jobs despite threats or inducements, making clear the U.S. will continue to support implementation of justice reform in Albania, underlining that no one is above the law, and urging that all of us must do our part to fight against corruption and impunity, then yes, the U.S. has done and will continue to do exactly that. Because the fight against corruption and efforts to undermine democracy constitute a core U.S. national security interest. By the end of 2023, the American pressure campaign won out, with Berisha put under house arrest. He would not be charged with an actual crime until 9 months later. An indictment of passive corruption over a 410 square meter plot of land restored to his son-in-law in 2008 during Albania's land restitution and privatization.
My son-in-law was brutally arrested at the airport in a public demonstration. I told the decision that you did against myself is anti-constitutional, and I never will obey to an unconstitutional decision. Go to parliament, have the permission like the constitution requires, and I obeyed. They went to parliament not with the file of my wrongdoings, but they went to parliament because I didn't accept the court decisions. And the parliament, in 5 minutes, without giving me the floor, without reviewing anything, voted to jail Berisha, and I was arrested, house arrest for 333 days without being any charge. At the end, they presented the charge. What were the charges? They rallied more than 160,000 pages of all kind, of 32 years long political activity and official activities. They found any raw law violation.
By the end of 2024, Ilir Meta and Fatmir Medju, the other two remaining secondary opposition leaders in the country, were arrested and under investigation respectively by SPAC.
It is beyond question that Soros and OSF, when they implement judicial reform, as they call it, which they've done in many former communist countries, that often is about picking political favorites inside that foreign country, more than fighting corruption or defending democracy. And the SPAC court this is a partisan instrument of the Socialist Party, not any sort of impartial effort at bringing justice.
SPAC wasn't just lobbied by Americans to prosecute Berisha. Americans helped create and fund SPAC as a part of the judicial reform included in that 2016 constitutional overhaul.
The USAID funneled money through the agency's civil society project.
Strong foundations are necessary because institutions like the High Judicial Council and the High Prosecutorial Council have to be built on solid ground so that rule of law takes root. The Albanian people need to have institutions that they can rely on to be acting with integrity.
It's called a Justice for All campaign, which was overseen by Soros's East-West Management Institute.
USAID created Justice for All as a 5-year support program to the Albanian institutions responsible for implementing justice reform.
In all these relatively poor former communist countries in southeastern Europe, this is always a challenge, right? Corruption is a real problem. Unfortunately, under Rama, the Soros people have made it even worse by making it a completely partisan issue and making the courts, in essence, serve the ruling government, not the cause of actually fighting corruption.